One party has led Namibia since independence. The first three presidents of Namibia are all from, the freedom fighting days and the struggle.
So what, you punish them for fighting to free the country?
I'm finishing the question.
Yeah, I'm also answering.
Are we going to get a new generation of
What is your
Namibian
problem
leaders?
of that? Namibians will do that. And if that is the case, and if democratically people are electing us, what is your problem? What is your problem? Anybody's problem, actually. Mm-hmm. So if election people are voting for you, what's your problem? You have democracy, as I told you in the beginning.
Very happy to be home. It's been a long time, hasn't it? How are you? Oh, fine, thank you so much. If you don't open the way, how do we get it? Thank you. Welcome back, our current president. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. It is my honor and my pleasure to address this distinguished gathering at a moment which is solemn as well as full of joy and hope. A new state is about to be born.
The people of South Africa join me in wishing you and the people of the new nation of Namibia prosperity and good fortune. We extend a hand of friendship to our new neighbors. Together we should seek to build a constructive and mutually rewarding relationship between our two countries. Good neighborliness is in our mutual interest.
Getting closer to the freedom flame. And there he is, the freedom flame being lit by Frank Carter.
The Namibian problem has been at the center of bitter international dispute over the last 4 decades. The United Nations and other international bodies produce huge volumes of resolutions in an attempt to resolve the intractable problem. However, it pleases me to state that we are gathered here today not to pass yet another resolution, but to celebrate the dawn of a new era in this land and to proclaim to the world that the new star has risen on the African continent. Africa's last colony is from this hour liberated. Now, during when mothers deliver children at the hospital or clinics, you find that more girls are born every year and less boys. Now, when they're grown up, it's obvious for economic development. In Namibia, for example, is blessed with the minerals such as copper, diamonds, gold, uranium. Also use marine biologists. We need those to catch fish, also to mine in the sea, because we have some minerals in the ocean. So many alone cannot do this. It's obvious that there is a demand for everybody to contribute in order to ensure the eradication of poverty, disease, and ignorance in our country.
Windhoek, March 1990, the birth of a nation. As the country celebrates, the President declares a new era of human rights and freedom for all Namibian citizens. A rally to mark the birthday of the ruling SWAPO party 11 years later. Now it seems that some people no longer have that hard-won freedom. In fact, some Namibians are no longer even welcome in the country.
Lesbian and homosexualism. This we condemn and reject them. In Namibia, there will be no lesbian, no homosexualism. That leader, Kunene, Omsati, Oshana, Oshikoto, Wangwena.
It was a historic moment, and F.W. de Klerk had no choice but to observe and kneel down in his heart as the colonial regime's flag was lowered and packed away forever. After serving Namibia for 15 years, Nujoma handed over the presidential powers in 2004 to Hifikepunye Pohamba, the humble one. Whenever Pohamba took podium, you will hear this.
People of Namibia, please be seated.
And tourism is growing, although headlines about seals culled every year are a challenge. But in this country that is extremely rich in mineral resources, there is great inequality. Many of the big landowners here are white. The black population is now so angry about this, the president says the white population must give up land or possibly face a revolution. In the 22 years since independence, the country's been run by just one party, SWAPO. Its leader is President Hifikepunye Pohamba. I sat down with him to discuss how the country's managed to remain so peaceful and how he intends to deal with the underlying anger and discontent that's now growing.
President Pohamba, the President of Namibia, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. Can I start by asking you, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing your country at the moment?
Well, the biggest challenge is the economic growth. And these challenges are also accompanied by some progress that the country has made ever since we got independence.
One of the things that you have, which is a good thing, I suppose, is a lot of rich natural resources. But for some other countries
in Africa. That's actually been a curse. For example, the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yes, indeed. Namibia is rich. We have minerals. We have fishing industries. We have many other things. But these are not benefiting as we wanted our people. Most of our resources are taken out in the raw form to other countries. And we are left with people who are suffering from poverty. Now, the other thing that we lacked so much, at independence, the colonizer, that is South Africa, apartheid South Africa, were apparently so clever. They denied the Namibian people education. For your information, the first university in the country was established 2 years after independence. So we have been faced with the challenges. We have our own skilled people who can explore the resources that we have underground in the water. So a lot was done for us by some people from elsewhere. And these people, I think they did not do it better the way we wanted it.
I accept your historical point, but your party, SWAPO, has been running Namibia now for 22 years, and still there is this inequality. As one Namibian I spoke to said, some 90% of the population have to share just 10% of the resources. Why haven't you done more to change that?
You are right. You are right. You cannot do things within 20 years, especially when you have set the constitution that says those who were there owning the properties, they should have them. Let's come to the question of land, for example. Let's get the land to the government. By saying get the land, we are not saying it to confiscate, as I have said earlier, but to sell it to the government. The government has the land. We have the policy of a willing seller, willing buyer. That has not been working for the last 22 years. And I think something has to be done. Something has to be done to amend the constitution so that the government is allowed to buy the land for the people. Otherwise, if we don't do that, we would face a revolution. And if the revolution comes, the land will be taken over by the revolutionaries.
You talk about a revolution. Do you think the people are getting angry? When we look at the mining sector, we look at, again, I'm sorry, I'm looking at another neighbouring country, but we look at South Africa, we look at the problems they're having now, the Marikana mine. Do you see the inequality leading to this sort of problem in your country?
Inequality exists. And we, as people in the leadership, our appeal to those who have the land is falling in the deaf ears. And the only thing that could be done is to amend some provisions of the Constitution that would allow. Yes, people are not happy. And when you talk about people not happy, what do you expect? They can react. And when they react, and this is where I talk about revolution, when they react, then those who have the land, they will not have that land. The people will have to take over the land. And this is what we have been trying to prevent the last 22 years. But as I said, unfortunately, our appeal is not being taken by those who have got the means of production in the country.
You've talked a lot about the land and about agricultural resources. If I can ask you about other mineral resources, what is your policy on mining and other minerals? Do you think this should be done in the private sector, or do you think it should be done by the state?
Our Constitution allows us to have a private sector, to have a public sector working together.
Should there be more state control, though, so you can share more of the money?
No, we are not talking about state control. We would like to see the Namibians taking a part as well. The private sector, the companies owned by the Namibians taking part, and those foreign companies who would wish to come and work together with the Namibians who are running businesses. We are encouraging the Namibians to take part in the businesses, not that the state. No, the state can also have some stake in the economy of the country, but we are encouraging the private sector to do that, and we are encouraging the investors to come and work together with the Namibians so that they can exploit the resources.
Mr. President, tell our viewers about Namibia's untapped resources.
That country is rich. What we don't have maybe is oil.
They were looking for it, weren't they, recently?
They have been looking for oil. Unfortunately, the signs, they say they are signs, but we have not yet struck it. So we have gold, we have a diamond, we have many other resources, copper, etc., etc. It's plenty. And we have fish. So in the agriculture, we have plenty of cattle. We have plenty of games in our game reserves.
So if people are electing, what is your problem?
Changing subject.
Change it.
Changing. One area that seems to bedevil many African countries is the problem of corruption. In Namibia, you've not got the same levels of corruption as some other countries. Tell me, how bad is corruption in your country, and how do you go about keeping it under control?
I don't think corruption is an African thing.
No, not just African.
Only.
Not just Africa.
Why you pick up Africa?
I'm just saying, in Africa, it is one of the problems.
Yes, you'll find corruption. We read the corruption in Europe, in many countries. I don't mention the countries, but I talk about Europe. You hear about corruption. Big people being corrupted, appearing before the courts. You see, the world has become a small village. The influence of Europe obviously has come to Africa. And I think most of the people who are said to be corrupt, they are corrupted by the people who come to Africa. They are the one who made the people to be corrupt. So this is a situation. Now, when you hear Africa corrupt, and the people don't follow how corruption came to Africa. In my view, corruption has been brought to Africa by the people from outside the continent of Africa. I don't like it. And I'm not here to recommend corruption. I'm just saying that it should not be said it's an African thing. This thing called the corruption came to Africa from elsewhere.
How do you deal with corruption in your country?
The corruption in my country, we have a set-up mechanism. An anti-corruption commission is in existence. And they have all the power to investigate reports concerning corruption without any interference of the government.
At any level?
At any level, of course. At any level, including the president. If they found that the president is doing corruption, they have the power. Those who are in the Anti-Corruption Commission.
And given you have all these foreign contracts with foreign companies involved in the mining and all your resources, they are looking at the foreigners as well as the Namibians, I guess.
What do you mean?
Foreigners who might be paying bribes to get a contract, for example.
Well, like I said, corruption by and large has been imported in Africa. by some people. And I think some of the foreign companies who are coming there, they have a tendency of bribing. In other words, corrupting those who are in the offices.
Have you managed to catch any of them?
Well, we are trying to catch some of them. We did catch some of them.
Can I move to the future, sir, of your country,
yes,
and what happens next? You have had 2 terms now as the president. Where is the next generation?
Well, as I said, and I will keep saying so, we are a country guided by the rule of law. And the Constitution is the supreme law of the country. A president elected democratically is allowed to serve maximum 10 years. 5 years first, and then election takes place again. If the people feel that he should continue, they elect him. And even if the people would feel like electing him after the second term, the Constitution does not allow that.
But you could, after someone else took over from you, come back the next time around. When you finish this term, is it the end for you, sir?
It's the end, absolutely, it's the end. It's the end. We don't have a long history. Say, for example, my predecessor is not expected to come back, and I would not be expected to come back after I have finished my second term.
Both of you, the first 2 presidents of Namibia, are from the generation that fought the liberation struggle in your country.
Exactly.
Do you think it is a challenge for a new generation taking over who don't have that experience? And do you think this will become a difficult election, a difficult point in the country's history?
The last 22 years, what we have been doing, we have been bringing into the leadership the young people, in order for them to take over. As we are getting out, we have some young people who would take over. If you look at our parliament, you'll find young people. If you look in the government, within the cabinet as well, you have the young people. These are the people we are promoting to take over after our terms expire.
Do you think it'll be another leader from SWAPO? Because one party, I know it's the people who've chosen one party has led this country all the time since independence. Is that a healthy thing?
Well, I think it depends on the people. If the people feel that they have to elect a SWAPO to power for the next 20 years, this is what democracy means. As long as the leadership of SWAPO is not imposing itself on the people, but they are being elected by the people elect the SWAPO, I see nothing wrong in that. And it's in line with democracy that we have set for ourselves.
President Pohamba of Namibia, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.
I thank you very much for talking to you as a representative Al Jazeera.
Thanks.
One party has led Namibia since independence.
It's not a coup.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a coup. We have democratic system there, as I said. It's through elections. So what's your problem?
Where are the other parties?
What? Go and ask them. If you can tell me you are a one-party state, you are a dictator, you don't, then we can
I didn't
talk.
say that.
So if people are electing me, what is your problem? We lost some seats just recently, and I say executives controlling. I said, no, once you can get more seats, you'll stop the executive. There is a proper democracy in Namibia, free and fair elections. So what's your problem? You don't want free and fair elections?
No, it's not for me to say.
So what's your problem?
The first 3 presidents of Namibia are all from
Then you can see
the freedom.
already 3 presidents.
Yes.
Whereas some countries, 100 years, 1 president.
Let me finish
That's
the question.
difference.
Let me finish the question, Mr. President. The first 3 presidents of Namibia are all from, the freedom fighting days and the struggle.
So what, you punish them for fighting to free the country?
I'm finishing the question.
Yeah, I'm also answering.
Are we going to get a new generation
of
Namibian leaders?
Namibians will do that. It's democracy. What do you want now? To just bring you to come and take over? People have elections. You must question, are your elections free and fair? Now, if people are electing, what is your problem? People are going to decide how people are free. They're not oppressed. Now, single generation is jailed in Namibia. Those are the things we talk about, which you have in your countries, in America even. We are #1 in Africa, come to freedom of press. We are #7 in the world. Some big countries, we beat them. Those are the things, those are the people who are exposing, they will be causing you to have accountability. And free press is #1. We don't talk about that. I thought you would talk about it. Good things you don't talk about, huh? Freest press in Africa has been there for a long time. You ought to be proud of that. And if that is the case, and if democratically people are electing us, what is your problem?
Talk about the issue of poverty. The First Lady, Monica, says that you are very, very sincere, really, that it is from your heart that you would like to see, poverty not alleviated, not curbed, but eradicated. Tell us about that.
Well, firstly, Namibia is a rich country. Everybody says that. But inequality in Namibia is about the worst in the world. Now, when in a small population, so when I'm thinking of this vast country, it's true, it's dry country, but a small population like this, we shouldn't do halfway things. Why should I say half a poverty is good, then no poverty? Say eradication. Of course, we will go step by step. Eradication. And as condemned by my colleagues, where have you ever eradicated poverty? And after that, we came here, and UN adopted to eradicate poverty 2030. I went back and said, you see, and I'm saying ours must be eradicated in 2025.
What specific steps have you taken so that people, in fact, might not end up saying, hey, President Hage is simply talking the talk, but can he really walk that talk so that Namibians can walk the walk?
That's the problem. We discuss it sometimes. We Africans have good glossy papers, we talk, but the implementation is a problem. And I set up this 4-year plan, Harambee Prosperity Plan. And first thing is governance architecture. We in Africa have a problem of accountability and transparency. So I have a formula, mathematical formula. A plus accountability, responsibility, accountability equals trust. So I say, if we are accountable, we are transparent, A plus T equals TR. Accountability plus accountability and transparency. Accountability, transparency equals trust. Africans have lost trust in many of us as leaders. We are not accountable, we are not transparent. So first thing I did is to declare.
You need to deliver. In fact, you declared your assets and wealth. Yes. Why did you do that? In fact, it's not a requirement. It's not a legal requirement.
It's not required.
By Namibia.
Some people see me in these suits, which I like to wear, and they think maybe I have a lot of money or
and you have incredible
illegal, thank you, illegal money. So I said best is to start on the top. I'm talking about accountability, transparency. Let me be transparent. And I did that with PricewaterhouseCoopers. One guy came from America who was part of the reviewing. I opened up. Even they were saying I have foreign accounts. I was a UN Secretariat staff member. I have my credit union account, which I'm not going to close. All of them banks with whatever remains there. And they did their own checkup, and that's what I did. My wife joined me too because it was good for her to do that. But It does not try to be a holier than thou. It's just to start to have what I'm talking about, trying to walk the talk by saying I'm going to be transparent so that I can hold the others also accountable and be transparent. How do I tell the ministers to do this and this if I don't, they don't know what I have?
How have they reacted?
Excellent.
Terrific.
Excellent.
You know, I was doing